Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. We're going to be taking a look at Shinee going up against Paralyze. So a couple very strong players, a couple of the strongest players not currently in the ASL season. You know, Shinee, obviously, we've gone over it a lot of times, banned for what many people say are his Chad-like ways, qualifying for ASL, not showing up, qualifying for ASL, and saying he didn't by registering a loss when he won. Things, just Shinee things, you know? And then, of course, Paralyze. He's been very, very strong. He's been playing a lot. Just wasn't able to make it through the qualifiers. I think his time is coming, though. He's definitely one of those guys. I actually find him kind of similar to Motive. People say that Motive is better than Paralyze, and I would agree with that, but just slightly. I feel like they're a very similar level. So, yeah, I think he's on the brink. I think we'll see him pretty soon. And Shinee, I mean, Shinee streams all the time. He's got a pretty loyal following, I think. He's like been the king ladder Terran for a long time, although speed has taken that away from him. Shinee was number one on the ladder with like 1 million accounts. Well, he's still very similar to that, but he generally doesn't go to number one anymore. I don't know if that's him deciding not to ladder as much or just the unbelievable power of speed. Either way, always fun to watch. And 11 gas, yeah, that's a very Shinee thing to see. You know, 12 gas is more common, but Shinee likes pretty technical builds. If I had to liken him to someone that is an ASL Terran, it might be a cross between Sock and Royal. Like, definitely kind of some optimization things in there, but very technical builds at the same time. That's kind of the beautiful thing about StarCraft. When you start to get up to the top, really everywhere, but I think probably more in StarCraft Brood War than anywhere else that I can think of, the fingerprint of each player is so different that, like, sometimes you can approximate players by naming multiple other players to try to be like, I don't know, he's somewhere in between this guy and this guy, but everyone so plays their own style. It's just completely their own way to do it. Now, Shinee gets up here and gets a very fast scout on that Nexus first, and he went 11 factory, or 11 gas rather, so his factory is super, super, super fast. So this allows a couple things. First off, he could do a Marine Vulture SCV attack. And in fact, if I see this Cybernetic core, I would pull the trigger after scouting him first every single time. But he actually has the option of just making a Vulture and expanding, which is not a terrible option. When you go for 11 gas, your factory is very, very fast. This Vulture would be in the natural pretty well ahead of a Dragoon. Like, he can basically make all the probes run, unless there's a wall. Sometimes what you'll see is a big pylon wall come up and like a zealot stand there and just die while he waits for the goon. So it could be something like that, or, you know, even a full wall. But yeah, it looks like he just wants to expand off of this. That Vulture coming out very, very fast. Notice that he just hasn't really made Marines either. So this is very optimized. Oh, he goes after the probe. Wow. Well, he no longer is going to be guaranteed any sort of probe kills. I'm a little bit surprised. Maybe he wants to throw down a starport or something. Or the thing is, even if you don't want to throw down a starport, you can cause your opponent to be having to play as if you did, you know? Because he just doesn't know because you killed his probe really fast. And notice he was getting ready for that wall, but the Vulture's just late. Shinee's not even going to try. All right, cool. Not how I actually saw this going with not sending the Vulture right away. I feel like that's one of the strengths of that 11 gas, but yeah, I don't think that Shinee's in a bad position. Look at the worker count. And, you know, a lot of that is he just scouted his opponent first, so he only made one Marine. You know, didn't really cut very many SCVs or anything like that. Very good to see. His expansion came up much more like a Terran vs. Terran expansion than a Terran vs. Protoss expansion, as far as speed goes. Okay, so Paralyze doing the infamous, I went Nexus first, but I'm also attacking you because I have way more units than you build. So he just has literally right-clicked his army over. The bunker is going to finish. He gets the Marine in there, laying some mines out. That is one of the powers of how fast he got this. So he does have some mines out there. And you can see Paralyze. Oh, he's got to be careful. Oh, he knows where they are. He triggers one and just going to walk around with this army. So definitely that was a little bit dangerous, but Paralyze navigated it very well. And it was dangerous for Shinee as well. If his bunker had been any later, that could have gotten out of hand very quickly. He would have had to actually fight with his SCVs. And if you end up fighting with your SCVs against Nexus First Goons, you generally don't come back from that. It puts you into a pretty bad spot. It's kind of like turns you into Zerg. You know, where like Protoss is making probes nonstop, but you're actually losing SCVs to fight. So it's kind of like how if you pressure Zerg enough, they have to make lings and not drones, you know? It's I look at it like that. It's just kind of similar in that way. Okay, second factory. He's got the armory already. There's the academy. We don't see an engineering bay anywhere in sight, so Shinee is optimizing very, very hard right now. Few more probes for his opponent, who takes the third nexus over here. I think the reasoning for this, excuse me, is these mines in the way. You know, he knows that there's some mines there. And remember his little army here had to retreat in this path. So basically he knows that this area is safe. So, you know, this is not always the best third nexus to take. A lot of Protoss in these positions on Radeon, because this is a pushable path, prefer this as their third nexus. But I don't think this is that bad. If Terran does a very dedicated push up here, it can be impossible to hold. But if you can stall it a little bit, it gives you time to expand into this area. Because you don't really push like from your rally here, up through here, into here, and then up to here. That's like too far around. Once you kill this, you actually do have to pull back towards center and then push up. So, you know, it's not like this is generally a foothold to push into the main. Anytime people have tried that in the past, like those strategies, I feel like when you're lower level, they can definitely work and be flustering for the Protoss. But if you're doing something so on one side of the map, Protoss just goes, okay, I'll go over here. And they'll just take everything everywhere else. Okay. Third factory is up. Plenty of money in the bank there. Shinee is only on 42 SCVs right now. That feels a little bit low. Huh. Nice catch. You know, you did make the comm stats, obviously, so that does cost you a little bit. It does feel a little bit low, though. 44 is like, is he stopping there? Is he going to go all in? It looks like it. Well, he is making a few more, I guess, but going up to 6 factories, he doesn't have a huge SCV count. It seems like he wants to do a timing attack. I think that's really hard against Paralyze. Paralyze goes Speed Shuttle Reaver every single game. Now, if you snipe that Speed Shuttle, that actually makes the push a lot easier, but if Paralyze is on top of jumping the Reavers back and slowing your push, it makes a push like this really hard, especially against someone who opened Nexus first. And honestly, didn't take any damage. So the shuttle just kind of rotating around. He doesn't have that speed upgrade yet. Getting a little bit of scouting intel done. Time to clear out some of the mines on Paralyze's side of the map. He probably is wanting to think about a 4th base as well. 4 more gates coming up. Really, really good choice. I think 8 gate here and Zealot legs. He actually doesn't have Zealot legs started. He should have started this a while ago. Oh, Reaver drop. See, I don't miss anything. Doesn't really kill much in the way of SCVs. Still 45 here. Catches a vulture coming up. Zealot legs have been started. As long as he gets those Zealot legs before Shinee is in a position like here, should be good. Shinee now getting ready to move out. Don't forget, he's 23 workers behind, so you have to adjust his supply. So call it 120 against 135. That'll give you more accurate feel as to where they're at supply-wise. So that is definitely a pushable amount for Terran, which, by the way, he's optimized so much he doesn't even have vulture speed yet. He's literally pushing out pre-vulture speed. Okay, lays a few mines. That'll slow everything. He's going to siege up. Brought some SCVs, so definitely wants a few missile turrets in here. So he's gone through this center area, and this will zone counterattacks and allow reinforcements, but also allow him to push in this direction. I think that this is very smart. If you're going to do a push like this, it makes a lot of sense to go in a direction like this. Now, the Reavers are a little bit late to the party. They really didn't slow anything. Shinee got into a position he quite likes before going. Oh, could get some kills, though. Good damage, but not quite a kill. And there you go. Does secure that. Goons coming in from the side. Is this an overpush? Yeah, loses a few goons there trying to get a tank. Really, Zealot Leg's going to be very important. He has some Psystorm as well. This is a big supply advantage. 170, 109. 24 workers still, but that is a pretty big supply advantage. We're getting to the attack move area. And he's slowing down reinforcements slightly with these goons, which is very, very good. Brings his Reavers in. Clearing some mines. Trying to get some big shots. Look, at this point, actually, because he's forced all this back, if he brings everything at once and attacks us, he will clear it. And this Nexus is not gone. It's just don't attack everything over the bridge. You know, I casted a Bisu versus Shinee game where he beat Bisu with a push somewhat similar to this. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was because Bisu attacked over the bridge. Now, notice how you do have to leapfrog. If you remember that game and my analysis of it, it's like, okay, the thing is, it's hard to kill his Nexus because you have to go over the bridge with the tanks. So he's got one there, but we now have a maxed out Protoss. So if he moves down here, starts clearing mines, when the siege tanks start hitting the goons, send the Zealots in, he's going to clear this, and that's going to happen before that Nexus dies, almost certainly. Okay, so... Okay, well, a little bit sloppy there. Is he going for a counterattack? All right, he's going to try to engage about half the army here. This army was coming back to... Oh, God. Only lets one of the Reavers out. It was... this army was coming up to reinforce his push a little bit and continue that push outwards. So he's going to attack into the natural. Some Zealots and High Templars going to come to this high ground. Okay, well, it damages the tanks a lot, but doesn't really finish them off, so they're still going to be dealing their damage. He is going to end up losing this Nexus, I think. But is he getting enough counterattack damage? Well, this is going to end up going. Paralyze with another base here. Another Nexus going up in that top right natural. This is hilarious. He skipped the Nexus and is going for the kill. Or I guess a containment is the right way to put it. The Zealot's going to get on top of some of these siege tanks. And it looks like Shinee will just barely win this battle, but the next round of reinforcements, I think, will clear it. Oh, it's actually so close. It's so close. Okay, he actually does end up killing off the tanks, and that's really what ends up mattering. So Shinee's push is basically done, and he didn't finish the Nexus. I tell you, these two base pushes really just don't do what they used to do. I am surprised that Shinee chose it in this game in particular. It's at 38 SCVs against 65 probes. Seems like an impossible journey right now. An impossible task. Gonna lay some mines. He's building some missile turrets in here. He needs Paralyze to really waste army. Now, a lot of probes going down to this base. Can Shinee do anything about that? Maybe. If he pushes over and gets into this area, he can re-push down this Nexus. Now, Speed Shell coming in, dropping off a few units there. Going to try to remove a turret before it finishes. Looks like he wants to get some storms off. Kind of like some funny engages coming out of Paralyze here. It's like it's like he wants to go in, but he's scared. He's on the diving board looking over the edge. He's like, oh, I want to jump in there, but it's really high. Something like that. Shinee now coming from the other direction. He's got this kind of nice setup, starting at the bridge again. And he's just, like, this is not a bad way to approach it when you're this far behind. Is saying, okay, maybe my opponent does a terrible attack. A lot of times, that's going to be the best way to come back in a game, is letting your opponent throw it rather than trying to force a victory. Very hard to attack sometimes. Okay, he's coming over the bridge. Kind of a good size storm there. Another good one. He goes down. Dude, Shinee, the king of winning games, he absolutely 100% should not win. That's what happens when you're a good ladder player, huh? You get into plenty of bad positions. Play him out for those sweet, sweet ladder points. But Paralyze is, like, definitely had a few bad engages. Trying to go over the bridge. You know, this is really well done here, so I understand in a way. But trying to force goons over a bridge just never, ever works. That was a very good storm. Blocks a turret from being made as well. Picking off some tanks. It's just kind of slowing this down. He's had this Nexus, by the way, for minutes. No probes mining. And here's the thing, guys. Paralyze is very, very good, but certainly there are a few misplays here. You know, he's under a lot of pressure in this game. And I'm talking just like game pressure. It's not like, oh no, I need to beat Shinee. It's more like the game is kind of hectic, so he's maybe losing track of some other things that he should be doing. All right, the shuttle's getting ready. Third command center finally starting after 17 minutes a game. Drops a single zealot off to cancel that out. Really, if he breaks anything, he's going to win. A lot of Goliaths coming out. But Zealot Reaver should be able to clear that. And Shinee does end up GGing. Honestly, there at the end, I thought that Shinee might be coming back as he repushed this. Especially with the lack of probes up here. Kind of a crazy game. I've been saying it for a while. I think 5-fact and 6-fact builds are pretty dead. They still have a little bit of a place, but we're watching a lot of players still trying to make it work. And the thing is, the Protoss players are misplaying quite oftentimes, and still they're not working. So, yeah, I think those will continue to dry up a bit. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.